the president of the Humble area Democrat, John Cotter, asked me to visit with them to broadcast their main program. They invited Dr. Nancy Beck Young to discuss the similarity of the Jan 6 and the occurrences in 1940. In other words, the insurrection on the 6th looked like 1940 Germany. Nancy Beck Young, the chair of the Department of History and associate director of the UH Center, University of Houston Center for Public History, was selected as a political expert featured in several episodes of Rachel Maddow's new podcast, Ultra. After the professor spoke, John said he received an email from a young student who wanted to speak to the group. 15-year-old Miss Hanson walked to the front of the room and spoke about her trans friends and the pain and suffering the Republican Party policies are causing them. What made me happy about this speech, if there was something to make you happy about this speech, was the age of Miss Hanson. She chose to engage at an early age. She knows her subject. My only question to her was, how can we clone you? How can we clone her? If we can, there is still hope for our democracy. It is her generation that will be making the decision. And knowing that our Gen Zs are coming of age and taking no prisoners, that is kind of refreshing. You know, it's refreshing to see a lot of these younger kids engaging like never before. And I sat there and I listened to her and I listened to her and I listened to her and I said, wow, that is what we want. Anyhow, I want you to listen to this and then we'll take it on the other side.
I got an email the other day. Very nice email from a young lady. She's a freshman at Atascocita High School. And she asked to come and talk to everybody here today.
All right.
She's going to talk a little bit about what's going on at the Texas legislature and the awful bills that are affecting the trans community. So I want to introduce Laine Hanson. She's a freshman at Atascocita.
Hi. As you may have heard, last week, the Democrats stopped the bill to prohibit trans youth from getting, gender-affirming care and hormones and all of that. But, we've seen it before, Republicans are going to keep pushing, that bill over and over and over again until they find a way to just, hurt and break people down even more. So, I thought, it would be important to see, not just, older people, but also, people that this is actually affecting. A bunch of my friends, one of my closest friends, his name is Aaron, he's the sweetest guy ever. He's trans, and he's on hormones right now, and if the bill gets passed that they'll slowly start weaning him off, what's that going to do to him? Because 56% of trans youth have attempted suicide. 86% of trans youth have had suicide with ideation, and it's even higher in states that are actively trying to ban activities and things that would help transgender youth feel more comfortable in themselves. In Texas, it's almost 90% for people who have felt suicidal ideation, and then it's 60% for actually attempting suicide. And that's just, they claim to want to protect kids from the grooming that's going on, and then they just want kids to kill themselves. And that's not good. A study from Stanford University in 2015 discovered that 40% of all trans people who had started hormones and puberty blockers in their adolescence, they had less risk for suicide, substance abuse, mental health issues in general than people who had to start later in life. So if they really want to protect kids, as they're saying, and their whole idea that you can get turned trans because people will support you, teachers will call you by your preferred name and use your preferred pronouns. The fact that they think that that is going to turn kids trans and make them mutilate themselves is not true at all. You can't even get sexist reassignation surgery until you are 18. And most people have a sense of their gender identity by age 2. So it's not like people just wake up one day and they're like, oh, guess what? My teacher supports trans people, so that means I'm trans. That's not at all what happens. And so the fact that people think that you can get groomed into thinking that you're one way or another, that's absolutely not true. You can't, it's just stupid. And I just, my boyfriend of almost 5 months, we were best friends before that, he's trans too. His therapist has said multiple times that his mental health would be so much better if he was able to start hormones. But because of these laws, he might not be able to until he's 18, which that's almost 3 years. And so who knows what could happen in 3 years. People who are struggling with their mental health because they're not able to truly be themselves, they could hurt themselves within those 3 years. My friends could die, my boyfriend could die because people don't seem to care. Because it's all protect kids until it's a kid of color, it's a trans kid, it's a queer kid. Nobody cares unless they're a way for them to fit their ideology and their just messed up view of the world.
I tell you, I was there in person as she was giving this talk, and she took a lot of questions and answers. She had a question and answer session, and people who just didn't understand or didn't know things learned a lot from this young woman, 15 years old. Like I said, I was just impressed that she could call bill numbers and talk about calling senators and today where many adults don't take the political responsibility to ensure that Austin works well, that DC works well. Just seeing some of these younger people in high school, in junior high school, do the work, for me, it was like saying, wow, I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be okay. In this case, it's a trans issue. I've ran up against 15 and 16-year-olds talking about the debt and all these about student debt, I'm so very impressed with some of the younger folks who are now taking that position of, you know what? You guys hadn't done all that well after all. Maybe it's time for us to really, really start engaging. And just watching these kids engage, for me, was it was a blessing to me. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.